Thank you. Amandla. Amandla. Viva EFF, viva. Viva EFF, viva. Kula EFF, kula. Tata EFF, tata. Tata EFF, tata. Phansi ngamasela, phansi. Phansi ngamasela oKhongolose, phansi. Ndiyabulela, thank you very much. Our Deputy President Floyd Shibambo and our Chairperson, I want to send my special greetings to our King. Azwelibans. 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 And send my special greetings as well to the royal family which is here, and send my greetings to the ground forces of KSD and OR Tambo region. We are very happy as the EFF to be here today, knowing very well that the youth of MTHATHA and Eastern Cape are going to make their mark not only tomorrow here at the TVET College, but on the 29th of May, because we believe that the future belongs to the youth. We are here to say to you, we want to do good for all African young people, because it's important that this TVET College, named after the stalwarts of our movement, the stalwarts of our struggle, the people who created the path for freedom to come, it must reflect them. It can't be that the TVET College is Sabata Dalinjebo, but it looks terrible. It has to look the way Dalinjebo wanted the future of South Africa to look like. It can't just be a name. A name must be accompanied by facilities. It must be the state-of-the-art TVET College where everybody wishes they can send their children. We want this college to be one of the best, reason being that every institution that belongs to black people, African people, it must be a reflection of excellence. It must be a center of excellence where research is conducted, where practicals are provided, where theory is provided. But that theory must not be aloof of prevailing political dynamics and economic requirements of our district as OR Tambo. So you can't say this is what our economy is demanding, and then you have a college that provides courses that are not relevant to the requirement of the economy. If our economy is agriculture, if our economy is mines, minerals, we have to make sure that we teach relevant skills. If our economy has got potential for manufacturing, we have to show through our education system that we are relevant to manufacturing. That's why the EFF says MTHATHA must be returned back to its former glory. It used to be a beautiful city. It used to have promising future and factories that were closed down. We did not ask them to build a bigger MTHATHA. At least they should have maintained what they got. They did not maintain anything. If anything, they destroyed everything they found in this city. Because everywhere they go, they destroy. So we want to rebuild that which Nelson Mandela said constitute the future. We want this college to be fully funded by the state, where education will be free. And no one has to pay registration fee. No one has to apply for NSFAS. What should earn you a seat here? It must be your qualification and not your surname and not the state of economy at home. Where when you apply and you say, they ask you if your parents are working, you say no. They say go and do an affidavit to prove that your parents are not working. The same people who are giving your parents SASSA grant, they are saying proof if they are not working. How do you give them grant if you don't know whether they are working or not? Because my ID must reveal my parents. And my parents' IDs must then say they are linked to SASSA. What is even worse is that they even ask you to provide a death certificate for your father. But they are the ones who gave you the death certificate. They are the ones who certified your father dead. And then they say, come and prove if your father is dead after certifying your father dead. That's when you realize there are no systems in place. So we need NSFAS gone, because NSFAS is corruption of blatant demand. And the Communist Party, they take NSFAS money to finance the lifestyle of Communist Party leaders, in particular blatant demand. They fire this service provider and say, no, there was corruption, and then bring the same service provider through a back door with a different name. So to fight corruption of NSFAS, cut NSFAS and pay directly to the TVET college. And every child, their monthly allowances must reach their pocket. It must go directly to them. It must not go via something. From government straight to the students. They said to me, how are we going to do that? I said to them, we are going to do it the same way you are doing with SASSA people. They've got a SASSA card. We'll have a student aid card, which will have all the resources that are due to the students, as a way of making sure that these children receive their money. If I come from a rich family, my family is not asked to pay NSFAS for NSFAS to pay TVET college. If I come from a rich family, my family is paying directly to the school, to the university. But if government is paying for me, they pay via some service providers. If that was a requirement, it was supposed to be done by even private payers. The private payers were supposed to pay NSFAS. NSFAS pays for them. Why are the rich paying directly? Including the children of the rich. They are given money directly into their bank account. They are not given through NSFAS. So you must also be given money directly by government, because government is your parent and must trust you enough that you utilize this money for your own benefit. But it is equally to introduce you to money at an early age, so that you get to know how to manage money as a person. We started seeing money when we were 25, 26, that side. And even today, we never received any financial education, both in theory and practice. So you ought to know that you can receive money, and if you don't look after this money, then forget. Because next week, it will be back to zero, unless you've got the skills and the discipline to manage your own money. There must be Wi-Fi. I was telling Kumkan that there must be Wi-Fi everywhere, including in the rural areas. In this school, it must be at the residences, it must be at library, it must be everywhere where we meet. Because information doesn't depend as to whether you are in a class or not. You must access information at any time. But the ANC will never give you free Wi-Fi, despite the fact that they are speaking about it. Because they don't want the nation that is informed. They want to keep them in ignorance, so that when they protest for the roads in MTHATHA, they are given T-shirts instead of the roads, and they accept T-shirts and forget the original demand. That's why they make data so expensive. They know you can get access through your own phones using data. To deny you information, they have to make data expensive and not give you free Wi-Fi, so that you are an ignorant society. Because the liberation movement thrives through the ignorance of our people. Our people are given SASA, which we are going to increase and will not take away. We want all the gogos to get 4,000 upwards. That's what we are fighting for. But we must get the gogos educated that SASA is not an ANC money. It is their money. All of you here, whether you are a student, whether you are unemployed, whether you are in business, you are paying money for SASA. Because every day when you buy, if you don't know, take that receipt. There is something there written VAT. That is the money that pays SASA. The ANC is so broke, it can't pay its own staff members, it can't maintain its own head office. How can it give you SASA when it can't give itself SASA? This is the money that you, the people of South Africa, pay for. We need to give Kumkani our gogos 4,000. Why? Because our gogos are the ones who are looking after African families. If you want to make sure that you fight poverty and fight poverty directly and inequality, put the money in the pockets of the gogos. When they go to get grant, they don't buy a quarter of bread with a can of Coke. They buy a full chicken so that their children once a month they can eat a proper meal. And then they buy a bag of meal. They put it behind the door. Some of you think, it's our family bag of meal. It's not true. Wait until a poor woman comes into your family and says she doesn't have meal at home. Gogo is going to fetch, even if it's so little, and share that maize meal with her, because they are made like that. They share the little they have. Imagine if you give them more, how much we can fight poverty by turning gogos into the agents against poverty, because they are the ones who have looked after everyone. There is no single one of us who can say, I never tasted the money of the grant. There's no one. So you give them more, you are guaranteed. We need also, Kumkani, to increase the money of child grant, because these children have to be looked after. These are African children. There is too much poverty in our society. I told you we are going to make free education, not only at tertiary level, even starting from early childhood development. A child who turns 3 must go to school free of charge, and the school must be close to where they stay. Because the white people's children go to school at 3 years. And ours are left with gogos. Kumkani was telling me he's 60 now. Very soon his daughter is going to leave the child with him. But he's not trained to teach a child. He's not trained to teach a child. That's why when you leave, abantwana nabogogo nobumkhulu, they teach them to speak differently. They go like that, that. They teach our children like that at home. 3 years. That time there is no white person who's doing that. They are doing 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. Ours is that. Then from there, our children are going to see formal education at 7 years. At 7 years, white people are now starting to learn robotics. They are starting to learn coding. Ours is still struggling with 1 + 1 at 7 years. That's why they must go to school at 3. so that the education is in their blood, so that they grow up in this thing. White people's children, when they are bored, they look for a book. But ours, when they are bored, they send, please call me. When you call back, but you don't have Savannah there. Hey, I'm bored, I want to come on that side. You have Savannah. It can't be like that if we are to build a proper future. Children cannot be taught how to read and write at 7 years. Education must be free at that level. We need primary education. We need high school education to be free. Education is not a commodity. You can't sell it the same way you sell bread. There must be a difference. Education is a right enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. And therefore we can't buy our right. So both primary and secondary must receive breakfast and lunch. I said we are giving them 1,000 at home. Then they are going to receive supper when they are guaranteed supper, because there is money that our government gives our parents on our behalf. When I say we are giving them 1,000 for children, I don't mean children must make children. Children, I said I'm going to give you free education. You go to school and leave the issues of teenage pregnancy, because you are embarrassing an African nation as if we don't know what we are doing. That's why leave the streets, go to school, don't make children. Lunch is provided, breakfast is provided, supper is provided at home. That's why there will never be sugar daddies, because our children are not going to grow up like us, where they have to go look for extra money after school so that they can feed their families. We remain a traumatized nation. We remain angry nation because we never got an opportunity to be children. When we're supposed to be children, we went to do gardens. We went to work in the farms. The young ones had to date old people for them to get some money. That must come to an end. We need to build a proper society. They said these children, primary and high school DP, they must get school uniform for free. Because you can't say education is free, meaning fees. After saying you don't pay fees, go and buy uniform. And uniform is more expensive than the fees. So they say to me, where are you going to get money for free uniform? And my answer to them is very simple. I'm going to get money where you get the money to buy prisoners free uniform. Because you buy prisoners free uniform. Every prisoner gets free uniform. And worse, they get free uniform every 6 months. They wear a shoe called parabellum. It's a strong leather. Why should our children wait to go to prison for them to see free uniform and free shoes? I said to you, breakfast must be provided at school. Now they're giving our children feeding scheme during break. I asked them why. They say no, children can't learn with an empty stomach. I agree with them. But what happens to that empty stomach between the first period in the morning and the break? Because we're not sure if this child ate from home. We don't know if there is food at home. And we must not ask them if they've eaten. Let's give them food so that we close that empty stomach from the morning. Why do these children deserve this? They deserve to live better than prisoners. Prisoners get 3 meals per day. My children must get 3 meals per day. They get breakfast guaranteed, lunch, supper. What is even worse, which many families don't know yet, is that you don't have water, yet you are not in prison. But prisoners have got 24/7 uninterrupted water. And not water with animal venom. Clean water. You think you are better. You are not in prison. The prisoners have reliable electricity. Uninterrupted. No single prisoner who was arrested 10 years ago knows load shedding. If you get arrested now and start talking about load shedding, they are going to ask you, what are you talking about? Because they've never seen it. Every prison has got a generator. Why can't we have every village with a generator? Because that's where our people are found. That's where people commit crime in darkness. We are going to fight load shedding, and we are going to defeat load shedding. How? We are going to do what they did during the Rugby World Cup. There was no load shedding. Whatever they did there, we'll do it. When we tried to shut down MTHATHA, there was no load shedding. We'll do the same thing. All of a sudden, we are going to election. There is no load shedding. How come? For the past 5 years, we've had load shedding. All of a sudden, 40 days before election, no load shedding. Don't be misled by this electricity they are giving you. Is to buy your vote. On the 30th of May, we are going to stage 8. That's what they are going to do, because they are using everything they have now to keep the lights on, just for the sake of the elections. But equally, this ESCOM, they are destroying it so that electricity supply and generation can be privatized. So when there is a state-owned enterprise, you first make it look like it's not working, so that everybody complains about it. Then you bring your friends and say, this is the solution. Rupert can give you uninterrupted electricity. We are not opposed to IPPs. We are not proposed to mixed energy strategy. But we are not going to shut down our coal power station for no alternative. We are not going to shut down our coal mines for no alternative. How do you say to me, I must give people electricity through wind? That wind will provide electricity. I've got no control of wind. I don't know if there will be wind tomorrow or not. Therefore, I'm being asked to close coal power station for wind energy, which I'm not guaranteed. But this coal mine is guaranteed to give me these tons of coal for so many years. I know for this period, I'll be able to provide my people with electricity. So we are not going to close coal power stations. If anything, we are going to build more power stations, nuclear power station, coal power station, and other alternatives for as long as our people can get electricity. Fighters, we need to create jobs. And to create jobs, you need a very simple strategy. The road infrastructure must be in good condition. The supply of water and electricity must be reliable. There will never be a village here in Tambo without a shopping mall or shopping complex if there is a proper road. No one wants to invest in an area that is not accessible. You must first make the areas accessible. Those areas are going to flourish. Not only that, you have to build industries. If you don't industrialize and open close factories, you will never create jobs. I'm told that unemployment stats came out yesterday. It's more than 39% What's happening? The story is no jobs are being created. More jobs are being lost. Someone comes to you and says, no, we are going to create jobs. Ramaphosa told you in parliament, you are young people, you've got ears, you can research for yourself. He said, it's not the responsibility of government to create jobs. And then during election, he says he's going to give you 4 million jobs after he said it's not his responsibility to create jobs. Let's leave that. They say Zimbabweans are taking your jobs. Lesotho people are taking your jobs. To check if they are jobs, you don't have to listen to politicians. You just have to look at whether there was economic growth. If the economy doesn't grow, then you must know there are no jobs created. But even if it grows, you must know in which areas is this economy growing. Because if it's growing in finance, financialized economy, then finance will never create jobs. It's operated from computers and they deal with hot money. They don't invest in long-term investment. But if manufacturing is not creating jobs, if construction is not creating jobs, if agriculture is not creating jobs, if tourism is not creating jobs, which jobs are Zimbabweans taking? Because when you say to me, Zimbabweans have taken jobs, you must show me a new factory which was opened, which hired new people, and those people are Zimbabweans. Then we must go and remove them. I will join you in removing them. It's a lie. No factory was opened. If anything, ISCOR is closing down. 3,000 jobs are going to be lost. There's a steel company in Witbank that shut down. 5,000 jobs were lost. Post office is going to close down and 3,000 jobs are going to be lost. You can go anywhere. It's job losses everywhere. There's no single industry that Cyril can claim is creating jobs. Construction doesn't mean a road in MTHATHA. It means a big construction development. Let's say, for instance, Medupi and Kusile power stations, which were built under President Mbeki, till now they are not fully commissioned. But that is what you are talking about. Because Kusile or Medupi alone can create a lot of jobs. So if the government is not building railway lanes, if government is not engaged in construction of big bridges, if government is not engaged in water infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, then forget, there will never be jobs. The government must convert the country into a construction site if you want to create jobs. And only the government of the EFF will create those jobs. You cannot grow the economy and empower your people and deal with inequality if you don't own the land. You have to own the land as strategic means of the economy. Land is everything. Don't be misled. There is no one who can survive without the land. If the land is so useless, why are these white people fighting for it? If it was a useless thing which is not worth our own attention, why are whites not letting go of the land? When they arrived here, they did not steal any woman like you always accuse Zimbabweans, or they take your woman. They stole the land. They knew everything comes with the land. So we want our land back. We want the ocean back. It belongs to us. We want the dagga that grows on our land back. It's ours. It's our own dagga. No one must tell us it's illegal or not illegal. A lot of money can be made, by the way, out of dagga alone. Comrades, when you live here, going into the society, you are going to realize how important the land is. Comrades, each one of us must own a piece of land. Gaddafi used to give them 1 hectare each after marriage. So if Libya can do it, what stops us from doing it? This is our land. This Jan van Riebeck did not come here with a land in his paper bag. He came empty-handed and found this land here. Land belongs to you. Why? When you are in your mother's womb, You are connected with your mother through umbilical cord. After giving birth, they cut the umbilical cord from your mother's side and leave it on you, marinate it until it falls. When the umbilical cord falls, unlike white people, we don't flush it in toilets. We dig the land and bury the umbilical cord because we are connecting you to the land. Your relationship with the land is an umbilical cord relationship. And that's why when you say, this is my land, you mean exactly that. This is the land of your ancestors. Without land, you will never have dignity. That's why even at home, let me give you a simple example. At home, when there is a funeral, and you stay in the back rooms of your mother's house, and your sister stays in the shacks there in some squatter camp, they call a family meeting because there is a funeral. And then they ask the question, when can we bury? And then when up from the back room, you speak first. You say, no, maybe Saturday. Your mother is going to respond, or your father immediately. Kaum. Let people speak. Kaum. Your sister says, yeah, but I think Saturday is fine because, it gives us more time. But you are talking. Why? They know even if she comes from a shack, she's got a piece of land. They are doing it unaware that lack of property ownership makes people undermine you. That's why our mothers and our fathers were called boys and girls by whites. They were not called boys and girls for any reason. They were called boys and girls because they were propertyless. Only boys and girls will not own property. So when they look at them, they were like, these ones are propertyless. And a title for propertyless people is boys and girls. The undermining of our parents by the whites is because they did not own the land. The day we own the land, or the day you own your piece of land, you must see the attitude of people changing around you because you own property. Even a man, angelile from Umkiti, and then he goes into his shack there. You must look at them. Sometimes when they speak and point, you don't even look at where they are pointing. You just start laughing. They never point at the shack. They never point at Mukuku. Their finger points down at Kukwamela. In a drunken status, knows this is my land. I might have a Mkuku. One day I will be successful and build myself a house. But this, the ownership of the land, is the beginning of good things to come. That's why in their drunken status, they are still proud that I might be poor, but the future doesn't look like I will die poor. So land is what is going to restore the dignity of an African child. We need to fight crime. In case in MTHATHA, our children must be safe here. This thing of drugs, this thing of you being amongst the highest in murder, the EFF can stop that in less than 6 months. Because these gangsters, you know them, and we know them. Once we know these gangsters, we set a trap on them. And once we set a trap on them, if they take out a firearm and point it at the police, we drop them same time. We don't negotiate with criminals. No criminal will point a gun at an EFF policeman and receive a rose. We are going to stop this murder in MTHATHA because this must be a land of peace. The land of Nelson Mandela will have law and order under the EFF. We cannot surrender the streets to gangsters, to taxi bosses, some taxi person who's known is even called Brawatwat, not under the EFF. Under the EFF, your business is taxes. It's not to terrorize people. No one must be feared. We must all fear the law. And no one must be protected by the police. Because this police, they use the police vans to transport drugs and nyaope because they don't get searched. What was painful when I discovered DP is that even ambulances transport drugs. Because ambulances don't get stopped at the roadblock. So this is a road that needs a firm government which is going to deal with criminals. We cannot have peaceful South Africans respecting the law but living in fear. Those who don't respect the law don't live in fear. Under the EFF, you rape and you go to jail. Be guaranteed after serving your term, the database of all rapists is going to be made public. What is a database? A database is when you go to MTHATHA to go and ask to be a teacher in a primary school because they don't know your history and make you work with girl child. Someone must just Google your name and then it must come out as a rapist. So that everybody knows the day I rape, that dark cloud is going to hang on top of my head until the grave. You cannot rape and say you served your term. You will never serve your term because that person will never recover from what you did. When you rape, something in women die. And that thing will be dead forever. And then you come back and say, I've served my term. What term? Because every time she sees you, she's reminded of the past experiences. So we need to protect our girl child. We need to protect our women. We need to protect the youth. We need to fight drugs. The EFF is the only one that can fight drugs because it's not in the pocket of any drug dealer, any gangster. Let me tell you, comrades, how police intervention can stop crime. Once, there was a group in Venda called Jerusalem. That was a gangster which was committing cash in transit haste. Every day in Venda at any time, they will go and hijack money and bomb that van. Until they took a decision, this gangster. And we've all been talking about it, Jerusalem. One day, the Jerusalem took a decision to go to SBV. They said they are tired of hijacking vans. It's a little money. They want the real money. Then they decided we are going to SBV. That is a live story. You can go on Google and check it. Police set a trap. They all went under one roof. They started planning and all of that. When police intervention unit came in and the task force, they took out guns trying to shoot at the police. Police killed 18 of them. Wiped, same time, all of them, down. That was December last year. Till to date, there's no single cash in transit haste that has ever been committed in Venda. Because we know these people. Even here, these gangsters are known. How do you have a government which is not paying spies? You must have spies everywhere as government, and you must give them money. Not 500 rand, nothing less than 5,000 if they give useful information. That way you've got everyone as a spy because they know that, hey, I might get 10,000 if I reveal this. Today, there is money there to pay spies. In the police intelligence, that money is being eaten by the president and his cabinet. That's why there is no information readily available for the police. because police are not prepared to pay for the information. Ramaphosa, we have a problem here of water, electricity, health. He went to take intelligence and put it in his office and said, Department of Intelligence is now closed, is going to operate in my office. We don't have a crisis in the intelligence. Why do you take a department that doesn't have a crisis into president's office? It's because that department has got a slush fund. Billions of rand in slush funds in the intelligence. Slush funds means the cash that is available, which you can use, and you don't have to account anywhere for it. So that's why your president was caught with dollars in his bed, because he's dealing with dollars in the slush fund. He took dollars, went to stage in the bed and in the sofas. Once a person takes the money to the sofas, you must know the bedrooms are full. There's no more space to hide in the bedroom. Because we grew up under gogos, they always were hiding away from us. They never hide in the sofa. So what are you doing in the sofa is too full. A president of a struggling nation where there are no hospitals, where there is a hospital, that hospital is a gravel road. In that hospital there is no medicine. In that clinic, if you are lucky to have it, they close at 4 o'clock. So the EFF is going to fight for those clinics to be open 24/7, because we deserve a 24/7 health services. Fighters in Skukuni, they closed the gate in front of her. She gave birth at the gate and the child died. It's a story that is available on the net. You can check it there. I'm telling you this example, why? To demonstrate to you how important it is to have clinics operating 24/7. We don't get sick during the day. We don't give pregnant only during the day. Even at night, we give birth. So we need these clinics to operate. EFF clinic will have an ambulance, will have a doctor, because these fools are even releasing stats that the doctors are unemployed. How can doctors be unemployed when we don't have doctors where we stay? Bring them to us. They can work here because we need doctors. Today, there are no doctors are not given jobs. For the first time in the history of medicine, where doctors go to school for more than 7 years and not get a job. So this government is useless. We need to give these doctors jobs per clinic, per ward. It must have nurses. It must have ambulance, latest medical equipment, because a critical patient can't walk to the 24/7 clinic. They must be fetched at home. If you don't fetch them at home, they are going to bring them to the 24/7 clinic with a wheelbarrow. And where is the dignity of the patient at that time? You can't restore the dignity of people through shortcut. It has to be everything. Today, you go to a hospital or a clinic of the ANC. When you've got an eye problem, they give you Panado. When you have a knee problem, they give you Panado. Hey, my stomach is running, Panado. There is no medicine available except Panado. So we can't say we have a hospital without medicine. That's why grannies today, if you say to them when they are sick, I'm taking you to a hospital, they cry. And they tell you, don't take me there, because I'm going to die. Because those hospitals have been turned into mortuaries by the ANC. We need to revive all our hospitals all over South Africa, more in the rural areas where our people need it the most. We are not opposed to NHI, but this NHI that says you can go to a health facility close by you. It means all those private hospitals that they say we now have access to, only white people will go there, because we are not anywhere next to any health facility. So it is white people alone who have access to nearby health facilities. We want them to say the health will be available to all, irrespective of where they come from. Because when you are in Alexandra, you can't go to Sunning Hill Hospital. They are going to say, go to Alexandra Hospital, is next to you, and it's free. And then Sunning Hill, only whites will have access there. We need a proper NHI, not these pretentious things that create the impression the ANC cares when it doesn't care. Fighters, we must tell our mothers and our grannies that they must leave Mandela alone. This thing that every time we go and vote, but Madiba, there is nothing that looks like Madiba in the current president of the ANC. Tell them if they are confusing him for Madiba, they must just look at the nose. They will see there is no Mandela there. So there is no Mandela who looks like this one. Comrades, remind your parents that they were promised food parcels during COVID. And when the food parcels came, they were given relatives of the ANC and councillors of the ANC open spaza shops with those food parcels. Comrades, you must tell them and remind them that your sisters and brothers want a job in KSD municipality. They can't get a job because ANC councillor says they must sleep with him before they get a job in a municipality. So you need to remember those things on the 29th of May. On the 29th of May, we don't drink alcohol, Kumkan, because we are going to an interview. You can't go to interview drunk. When you arrive at the voting station, they are going to give you a ballot paper. You go into a voting booth and you start interviewing yourself. This time, we are not using our hearts when we vote. We are using our mind when we vote. When you arrive in the voting booth, you must start questioning yourself. Starting from tomorrow, what do I want? Do I really want this thing of mud schools? The Eastern Cape, you are number one in mud schools. You are number one in pit toilets. If they can't give us toilet, why not give them at least to children in schools? Because those schools are not so many. There is no ANC government that cares, which can allow children to go and study in a mud school and go and help yourself in a pit toilet. There is no white person, not even a white hobo, that goes to a pit toilet. Only us go to a pit toilet. When you go to vote, remember you don't have a flushing toilet. You are helping yourself in the bush, and only the cow must help itself in the bush. So if you are still doing that, the ANC has treated you like an animal for the past 30 years. So you need to remind them on the 29th of May. Those are the questions you must answer in an interview with yourself. And those who think you don't know English, they must hear the voice coming from the voting booth. Enough is enough. Because that's where you are putting the end to this nonsense. So 29 May 2024 is 27 April 1994. What we missed in 1994 is what we're going to achieve in 2024. 2024 is our 1994. 29 May is a freedom day. The true freedom day is on the 29th of May. The economic freedom will come on the 29th of May. We want all of you, when you wake up on the 30th of May and when you look at the Union building, you must find the red flag flying high on top of the Union building. Amandla! Amandla! Forward to victory, forward! Forward to victory, forward! Forward to victory, forward! Niyabasabana! Niyabasabana! Amandla! Thank you very much. Thank you.